Crystal silicon is being exported from Alpha Andromedae 4. A few minor production inefficiencies have been resolved, and it's time to begin production of the fourth type of research cube, the information matrix. Hello, Legion. This is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Dyson Sphere Program in our Alpha Andromedae series. We fixed a number of smaller-ish problems last episode. There was an unexpected one in that some of these belts bringing metal to this mine, which I had already had constructed for a while, were still speed 2 belts. Not a huge issue, but we went ahead and fixed that. And then we added some additional metal mining over here, iron mining rather. I keep calling it metal. One day I will remember that copper is also a metal, as is titanium, all of which are being mined on this planet. So it's good to distinguish between iron and the other metals. Anyway, I digress. We now have a lot more iron coming in, iron ore specifically, coming into the production for both the magnetic rings, and the iron ingots. So what we should hopefully see is a much stronger flow into both of these. These are not backing up just yet, and as a matter of fact, we're also not producing. That's very interesting. We're still not producing anything here. So maybe we didn't solve the issues quite as thoroughly as I thought. The upshot of this situation at the moment is that we have a massive backstock of chips from when things were okay on this production line. But now that we are splitting iron to go down this direction, and it's being completely consumed, it seems, by this particular production chain, we need to further increase the rate at which we are producing iron ingots. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to... I think power is going to be completely okay. Yeah, it's going to be all right. So I'm going to just delete that, and we're going to restructure for a moment. It's going to involve letting things run dry, but again, that is the beauty of Dyson Sphere Program. You can do that. You can let things just chill out for a moment, and the game doesn't hate you for it. All right. So miniature particle collider research is complete. That's good news. So we're not going to have a ton of room to continue building these in this particular row. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's going to stop right there. So I'll be able to build one there, and I'll have to redo the recipes manually. That's fine. So what I will have to do is bring it out here. And I'll probably need to do the same. Let's go ahead and just bring it all the way here. And then we'll bring it up. We'll bring it to about right here. Bring it back down. Bring it around. And now, I may be able, now that I've got that down, I may be able to still shift-click these normally. Let's see if it'll let me do it. It will, because this game is wonderful. Okay. And then, of course, we will need a little bit of additional power supply, specifically just a Tesla tower. And we can do the same, although I don't know that I have... Okay, I need to grab some of these. Not an issue. Actually, it might be an issue. Just kidding. Let's see if we just grab a few off the line directly. There we go. There's 10 of them. We should be able... Yep. I don't even need 4 of those, but I'll take it. So already we're seeing an improvement. This line is backing up. Yeah, just from that expansion there, we're seeing an improvement. This does, of course, dramatically increase the rate at which we are consuming metal on these planets. Iron, sorry. But... oh, we are once again out of those sorters, but that should be pretty quickly solved, I would think. Yeah, I just need to grab some additional... sit here for a moment, grab just a couple of these off the line. There we go. I'm going to wait till it gets to 10. Perfect. And now, wrong hotkey. I'm going to produce plenty of those sorters. And now that we have those, I mean, we've technically already solved the problem. You can see that we are actually starting to back up into our storage again, which is fantastic. That's what I wanted to see. But I really want to finalize this particular improvement and not have to come back to it for the foreseeable future. And there we go. That is a lot more. Oh, you don't have an output. All right, good. Glad I caught that. That was a lot more than we had just a moment ago. So now what we can do, this will be one of the first times we kind of rely on this. Let's take a look at the production of iron ore versus the consumption, and let's look in just the last minute, okay? So here's a good way for us to tell that we are kind of maybe consuming more than we're producing, or we're at least right around, you know, at cap, which seems to be accurate, because when you look at the fullness of this line, it's moving as fast as it can. I still feel like some of these are moving kind of slow, but it's just because they're not as full as this backup line coming in. And there may be a way to get an additional mine going just to mitigate this a little bit. It will mean... yeah, let's go ahead and do this. This will unfortunately mean... that this metal, this iron, man, that is just encoded in my brain and it's wrong. Need to fix that. This iron deposit is going to be depleted very quickly. I'll have to be mindful of that. But there are other ways to address that, and that's one of the reasons we're pushing towards research. Not going to select any options right now. Because we have purple cubes that will soon be available, and there might even be a few options, as we've seen from a lot of the options that appear when you first begin using a certain type of research cube. It might be that some of the options we have available to us that involve purple cubes don't need a ton of purple cubes. So I kind of want to see what we get going there. Now, let's take a look at this situation. Seems like we might still be a little bit low on magnet production, so before we leave this planet, we're going to do the same thing here that we did elsewhere. It's going to be a little harder, though, unfortunately. And we might only be able to expand it on one side, which is what we're going to have to do. So, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. We're going to bring you to same spot, right out here. That line will rise up. It'll come back down. We're going to delete that very quickly. And this should be able to come straight down like so. Perfect. And I'm just going to straighten that line if it will cooperate with me. And now, 1, 2. Oh, am I really out of those again? I suppose I am. All right, let's grab a few more from the production chain. Only a few. That's all I need. I wasn't expecting to expand the line this much, but I want to make sure we've got this issue as fully resolved as possible before I leave here. Actually, that's a bad place to put that, because the main place I'm going to be adding these is here, so we'll put that there. There we go. And we might have moved this... yeah, we did. Let's see if we can get away with one slot closer. All right, you're going to be there, and then you are not going to get away with that. So I think what I'll have to do here, rather than building the arch manually, I'm going to let the game do its thing where it built it for me. That's beautiful, because I can build to that slot, and then we're good to go. Glorious. And I can now build one last magnet producer there. So we are now also backing up on our production of magnets. That's fantastic. So let's take one more look at our production. This is our first time really paying attention to this, but this is the moment where we really have to begin keeping a close eye on it. So it does look like we're still consuming more than we're producing, but that might be because of what we have just done. And you can see the number kind of trending downward. So that could even out as the lines kind of back up completely, because right now both of these are backed up. So now that that's the case, and we have kind of a stoppage after the buffer, what we should see, yep, so it's evening out, and that's kind of exactly what I want. That's the condition I want to leave this planet in So that's a really good note. Let's take a look at how we're doing here on the health of these. Okay, I believe I've already put all of the possible ships that I can into place here. Yes, I have. Slots are full. So with that being done, do I have any? Yeah, I do. I have some additional fuel rods. Let's head back to Alpha Andromedae 2, because we have information matrices to build. Now that we're 10 minutes into the episode, unexpected problems. We really did a lot at the end of the last episode to solve that, so there was just a little bit more to get done there. And that should put us in much better position with regard to the turbines, which have kind of been hit or miss for the last couple of episodes. I've been doing a lot of management of that, and that should be smoothing out. So satisfying to solve an issue like that. I'll be curious how the combat that they add to the game changes that dynamic, because one of the aspects that I've talked about this game that is so enjoyable, that I've talked about a lot in this game, is that the game does not put pressure on you. It will not, I mentioned it earlier this episode, it will not punish you for failing to do something at a certain speed, or failing to catch an issue with your efficiency or with your production of a particular resource that's needed for a more complex resource. It just waits for you to find the problem and solve it. And there's something very zen and something very relaxing and non-stressful, if I can say that, about that design. And if they add combat, well, not if they add combat, but when they add combat, which will be an option in the game, it won't be a requirement. You can toggle it off. But how will that change the feeling of tension in the game? Will it make it more fun? Will it make it less fun? It'll likely depend on the player for the most part. I think there's a chance if they do it right, because this game is so well done in so many ways, I think there's a chance that it could make it more fun, even though it will take away from that very aspect that I'm describing, that important kind of non-stressful approach. All right, so we're going to use the gas giant to slow down a little bit there, and we are going to land right where we need to. Perfect. All right, so how we looking? Check that out. We have 400 of those inbound. Do I have... There we go. So I've just plugged in the rest of those ships there. I think I was building them when I left here last, but I have a ton now of crystal silicon that has been brought in. So we need to put that to use. We need to produce plastic. We need to produce carbon nanotubes, which we do already have in relatively large amounts. Before I do anything, though, I do have a number of inventory items just sitting, waiting to be used. So I'm going to do that. Let's see. Best way to consume these would be just to plug in. There we go. I was trying to plug them into the facility that makes them at first. That's not going to work. So we've gotten rid of those, and we may be able to get rid of some additional items too. Let's see. So again, if you highlight any of these, notice that there's an option that says fill materials. So you can select any building at all, except for the storages, that is producing. And you can use the things that are in your inventory. You don't even have to be judicious about what you're selecting. You can just go across your base like I'm doing now and empty out your inventory of the things that you have copious amounts of, because you've picked up a bunch of stuff and you're carrying things around and you're trying to solve problems. And over time, that can fill up your inventory. And I appreciate the regular players of Dyson Sphere Program who have been reminding me of that function in this series. I've already thanked them a few times already in the last few episodes, but it's something that I kind of, because it's a newer edition, it's not super new, but it wasn't in the game initially. It's something that when I started recording kind of went out the back of my mind. So the reminder's been very helpful for getting back into the swing of emptying my inventory more rapidly and more regularly. So thank you. Okay, so it seems like we still have enough diamond production happening here. How are we doing on power on this planet? Yeah, we're doing great. So remember, we did set everything to 1 minute so that we could see what the status of things was like as quickly as possible as far as like the changes we've made. Like, what does the last 60 seconds look like now that we've upgraded production in these ways? All right, so I do see that we have some turbines coming in now. We have 600 more on the way. That's fantastic because I'm looking at a backstock of them here. So I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. I think it's time to start thinking about these cubes. And we need to think about how we're going to make them exactly, because right now we can either use lines, and they'd be pretty long lines, or we can build an additional planetary... what do we have here? Oh, I see what's happening. Hang on. I need to address this, don't I? So you're short on hydrogen. Yeah, I may be able to resolve this a little bit. The fact that this one is always so short, this is going to be a bit of an interesting solution, but I'm going to have my output here. And then my input there. So there are going to be some situations where it's going to immediately pull back in what it spits out. But I think that might make it less likely that this particular refinery runs short a lot of the time. And you'll see it running more frequently because it's keeping what it needs until it doesn't need it anymore, which could be a positive. Anyway, small distraction. Let's see what we can do down here. Plastic. How are we doing on plastic, by the way? Plastic is mainly just being used... Let's take a look. It's being output onto this line here, and it's just feeding the production of these. And we actually don't have a lot of it, even though it seems like... Let's take a look at our production of these resources. How are we doing on energetic graphite? Just on our local planet, how are we? We are definitely consuming more than we're producing at the moment. It's about even, but there's a slight bias. And it looks like we're also low on graphene, which is not good. We may also be running out of... Alright, so that's a challenge. I can partially see how to solve it, although I don't love the idea. Yeah, we're going to have to do this. So I'm going to move several of these solar panels. We're going to rebuild them almost immediately. But I need more room for chemical factories. I need to at least double up on a lot of these factories. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see. I guess I'll rebuild you on the equator. And I'll have to do a little bit of... There we go. Alright, I may be able to... Hang on. I'm going to have to move... Let's finish building those, and then we'll place... hopefully something that will help mitigate that issue we just created. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's really the only one that's been on that side of the line, so I should be able to fix that relatively easily. Yes, there we go. I can put it right between these two and fix it very easily, in fact. So, now that I have done that, we can double up on the production of these resources. Because we need plastic in order to produce the good that's required for the information matrices. So it does look like I need some additional circuit boards. Let's go grab those. See, I've remembered that they're circuit boards, so eventually I will remember that metal is in fact iron, not metal. I'll get there. We're already getting there, slowly but surely, gradually. All right, there's that. And let's see how many I can build with that. Because I might need to grab some other resources while I'm here. 4? Yeah. some more stone. Perfect. Okay. Now, this needs foundation support. Do you now? That should do it. All right. I'm not going to worry about the shift clicking here because what I'd rather do is build these fresh so that I can kind of decide where these lines are going to go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I might do another one. Yeah, it's very likely we'll do more here as well. 2, 3. So RIP that tree. Gonna have a lot more chemical production happening here. So let's see. Also, I need to set this up now. I've got my Mark II sorters that have been set up in my inventory for a while. I need to have Mark III sorters. Do I have those set up for auto production? I believe I do. I just haven't set up my inventory for them. So let's do that because I'm tired of running out of them. Oh, maybe I don't have Mark III. I do not. Here's the end point for those. So I need turbines to make that happen. Which is not a problem because I now have a decent stock of turbines just at my disposal. Lovely to see. So for now, I'm going to focus on the problem I was solving, but that's something I'm going to need to fix soon because I want to have production on those just running. And did I overlook it? Is it possible? Because it's strange to me that I don't have those being produced already. No, I don't. Because they would be pulled from that storage if I did, so. Oh well. Also, why do I have storage set up for these? That seems unnecessary. Tell you what, let's go ahead and start emptying that out. We could actually say that we want the whole thing to be empty. And what this will do is it will cause all of the conveyor belts to feed straight out. Right now they're not going anywhere because there's nothing more to produce. This storage is full, but I can fix that by just adding another slot here. And so what we'll immediately start to see is anything this produces, it's going to be a while because this has to empty out, but anything this produces will just feed straight through the storage and the storage will stay empty. So that will eventually be less of an issue. Let's go back to what we were working on, which was... People have been telling me, by the way, that you can proliferate proliferator paint, which is just so absurd, but I love it. So we'll get there. But for now, let's first fix the plastic issue. So we've now doubled up on our plastic production, and we're already producing more. So what I need to do here, a couple different ways I could solve it. This is the plastic line there, the one running underneath the sulfuric acid. So what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to have the line go kind of around and through. There we go. Yeah, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know what? It works for me. It does it for me. There we go. That's all I needed. So, output, output, output. Glorious. And now we also need additional graphene. Now this is going to be a little bit more challenging for a couple of reasons. The main reason being, looks like I still need to move these. In order to make this really work, I'm going to need to move these. So, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Just hit the plus key 4 times when you're spacing those out, and it immediately puts them every 5 spots. Which you don't have to space them that far apart, but that's what I have always preferred to do with them. Okay, so... Let me think of the best way to bring this resource out. Well, first, let's go ahead and get this issue solved. So we're going to bring the sulfuric acid here. That tank is actually in kind of a perfect position to split the sulfuric acid. So one of the first things we're going to need to find, like 100%, we're going to need fire ice, and we're going to need a source of sulfuric acid. So we're going to need to find a planet in another solar system with sulfuric acid oceans, so we don't have to make it ourselves. And that is always a huge win whenever that can occur. All right, so now let's go ahead and copy-paste this recipe. And I can see the time is flying as usual when I play this game. All right, so we're taking sulfuric acid in, and we're taking in... Perfect. And now, this is the slightly more challenging part. We need to get the graphene on a separate line. I think I see what I can do. Yeah, this will work. We'll keep things tidy by putting the new line directly over this other line. Beautiful. All right, and of course, this graphene is going to be a little bit different. Although, what I could do is I could have it feeding into the other... That's what I'm going to do. That is exactly what I'm going to do. And you can't stop me. It's going to be great. All right, so this is going to go down to the ground. And it's going to come over here. And it's going to feed into the graphene storage. I was going to say, it's going to be a little strange because the new graphene production will be outputting directly to the output line from the storage, which is a little bit weird. But now all of this new graphene we're producing will go to the same place, which is great. I love that. All right, so it looks like we are overproducing plastic now, which that's a wonderful sign. However, I also want to make sure, before I finish up this episode, I want to make sure that we are also doing what we need for sulfuric acid. So we need to be consuming fuel. Oh boy. So this is going to be increasing our fuel consumption a lot. Tell you what, let's move our positioning on these somewhat. Alright, and these stone will have to come further down here. Alright, so these require stone, fuel, and water. Basically just all of these lines that are going by. So we're once again seeing a situation where fuel could become fairly scarce from what we're doing here. Slightly problematic. Let's see if we can address that in any way. So currently, this fuel storage, I've got to end this episode shortly, but this fuel storage is still, let's watch this number for a moment. With our current resource consumption rates, this fuel storage is filling up. And that's good news, because what that means is it will eventually fill all the way up and then start to send stuff backwards along the line. Now, one of these is producing 2.16 megawatts. And you can see that our overall power load is about 70%. So if I delete just two to cut back a little bit on how much oil is being produced there, then this will fill up even faster. And as a consequence of filling up faster, it will make it a lot easier for oil to be sent down this direction. Let's see how much the current situation is affecting the things that require oil. looks like we're mostly okay because we're backed up on plastic. But the second we're no longer backed up on plastic, yeah, we're not okay down here. We are not producing enough organic crystals. But again, we will be able to find organic crystals ourselves and begin importing them rather than producing them. So there are lots of things that are over-consuming some of our basic first and second tier resources, which will soon not be consuming them at all, and we'll still be able to obtain the same resources from other places in the star cluster. It's a really exciting phase in Dyson Sphere Program, but it can be stressful at this stage because we're at that critical moment where we need all of these things to get off of this particular planet and off of this particular star to go to other stars. But in order to have all these things, we need to hyper-consume combinations of several resources which are not necessary later in the game. So that is what we are working toward. I'm going to stop this one here for now. In the next one, we are going to make more progress, maybe, towards getting these purple cubes set up. I say maybe because we need to make sure this situation is completely resolved. I think that once this fills up, I'm going to go ahead and delete this top storage. That way, once this fills up, oil will start flowing more readily back this direction. We may also look into potential proliferator-related solutions. Like we could proliferate our oil, for example, and produce extra products rather than using production speed up, which we're not using production speed up at the moment at all. But that might be something worth looking into in the next episode, just given the current situation and given that our proliferator paint seems to be in such solid condition. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. If it's not your first time or even your second, look for the join button to access unique emotes, badges, and other perks. New episodes are coming out every day at noon US Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.